In this video, we'll be looking at this 2K video doorbell from JAIOTlink. They did provide the sample for review, but of course it doesn't affect our opinion in any way. So of course this is just the box that they come in. You can see that it is a 2K video doorbell. It does have a lens on the bottom and the front. It's battery powered and is compatible with 2.4G and 5G Wi-Fi, which is super nice. Just some more information here, but we'll go ahead and get into the box here. Looks like the first thing we have here is a sticker that says, "Please press doorbell," so kind of funny. But you can put this underneath the doorbell if you want to, just to kind of indicate that it is a doorbell. Then we have a user manual, always good to have. Just some more of the specifications and then how to set it up and everything. Here we have the receiver, it looks like. So yeah, this is the part that goes into the wall adapter. And you have the antenna here. This is the speaker, of course, for the actual playing the sound when the doorbell is pressed. And on the side here we have a reset button, and then we have a slot for the TF card, which of course stores your footage and all that. So that will kind of be wirelessly transmitted to the receiver here, and then it will store the footage and then play the sound, of course, throughout the house when this is connected. Next thing we have here is just a bag with the screws and anchors for mounting the doorbell. We also have a little key here for removing the doorbell. It is locked into the holder outside the house. Underneath here we have a USB-C cable for charging the doorbell, it looks like. This is USB-A to USB-C. And then we have the wall adapter, which is of course what the receiver will kind of plug into. So you would essentially just plug this into here. We'll get it the wrong way, of course. And then that will be what plugs into the wall. And then it should, connect and everything. So nice to have. And here we have the actual doorbell itself. It is a bit bigger than other doorbells that I'm used to. You can see in comparison to my hand. And then we have the camera, of course, on the top, and then the bottom camera as well. So this also does have a speaker on it. So if you push the doorbell, it will, of course, play through the actual doorbell itself as well, even if you don't have the receiver connected. We also have a little guide. This is actually a sticker, which is really nice. So you kind of stick this to the outside of your house, and that will tell you where to drill in order to attach the holder. So that's very nice to have as well. Finally, we do have the actual part that the doorbell mounts to. So this, of course, is what you drill and attach to the house. And then this doorbell will just, mount to here. And then it does have adhesive on the back as well. So if you don't want to use the screw holes to actually drill it, then you can just mount it using the adhesive. So that's very nice. And then once it is mounted, there is a little place in the top here. And that's what that other kind of key goes into, and that's what will actually release the doorbell. So you can kind of use that tool to actually remove it without having to worry about people, pulling on it and it falling off or getting stolen or things like that. So just to give you a closer look without these stickers on here, you can see what it looks like. We do have the camera up here. It looks like a sensor for night vision probably, the actual doorbell, microphone, speaker, power button on the back. This is the part that kind of locks into the mount. Then there is the hole for the key to remove it from the mount. And then on the side here, we do have the USB-C port for charging, of course, as well as a reset button in there. So next we'll go ahead and get this all set up with the mobile app. So the very first thing you want to do is plug in the space station to the wall here. Then it will give you a sort of prompt saying it's ready for setup. From here, it should appear almost instantly in the mobile app. It will ask you to confirm that the doorbell is connected to the base station just by ringing it. Then once you've done that, you enter your Wi-Fi password and you're pretty much done. You wait a few seconds for it to connect, but then that's all there is to it. You can now name the doorbell if you want to, and then you begin using it. Alright, so this is just what it looks like when it's installed outside the house. After to install it, you're just using the adhesive rather than the screws, since it was on this kind of side piece that doesn't fully fit the screws. However, it is still very secure, so I'm very happy with it. I guess it would come off if someone were to really yank on it, just because it is with that adhesive, but I'm not too worried about that in my neighborhood and everything. So I think having that option for the adhesive is very nice. One thing I do like about this that just kind of clicked after I'm actually seeing it mounted is that since the USB-C port is on the side, you actually do have the option of charging it without taking it off of the mount in theory. Of course, you probably still want to, but most other ones I've used, the USB-C port is on the back, so you need to remove it from the mount, take it inside, charge it, whatever. With this one, in theory, you could either use a really long cable or even like a battery bank or something and actually charge it outside without having to, fully remove it and everything. So that is actually a very nice thing in my opinion. One downside is that this reset button is also here, so I guess someone, in theory, could just kind of come and push this reset button and then it would reset the video doorbell overall. I don't think it would delete the recordings or anything because you're not resetting the receiver. However, I think it would maybe disconnect this from the receiver and that might cause some problems. So I think that reset button should be on the back behind the mount, but it is kind of nice that that USB-C port is not, in my opinion. In terms of video quality, it does use these two cameras to kind of show you what's on the ground and then show you what's in front of you, which is also very nice. So if someone were to put a package down or something like that, then it would show you where that package is, as well as show you the person that's actually, in front of you ringing the doorbell or putting that package down. So we can just kind of give you an idea of this here. You can see again that there kind of shows my legs, and so I look very tall right now because it actually is kind of stitching those two images together, which is great. However, when you are viewing in playback, you can actually choose to either look at the top camera or look at the bottom one, totally up to you. But it is very nice to have those kind of two together, because having those two separate cameras definitely shows you the ground, which is very important for packages, and again shows you the kind of environment around. This is compared to a lot of other cameras, as this one I have here. It does just show you the front, so it definitely misses things on the ground, because a lot of doorbells don't have that kind of down view of camera. So this extra camera on the bottom is very, very critical, and is something that you really want to look for in a video doorbell, so that's a very, very nice feature to have. When we go ahead and ring the doorbell, you can see that it plays a sound on the doorbell, and then it also rings on the actual transmitter inside, of course.
Someone is ringing the doorbell.
You will also, of course, get a notification saying that somebody rang the doorbell, and when you click on the notification and open the app, it will give you the opportunity to see who's ringing the doorbell, have a conversation with them using the microphone and speaker, and all of that good stuff. So it is very nice that you can automatically do that directly from the notification. And the notification appears almost instantly when the person presses the doorbell. You can see that it says it kind of like the device is ringing, and shows you exactly who is at the doorbell at the moment, and you can choose to push a voice reply, or to answer it, or to just decline the quote-unquote call. So it is very cool. It kind of shows up as a call. All that is available right when someone pushes the doorbell. So we can go ahead and do it again, get the notification, and you can go ahead and zoom a little bit further, 2, 4, even 10 times. So it is cool to be able to zoom and do all that. And again, you can choose to answer the call, and if I answer it, then it will show the full call. And you can see that it's kind of playing through here. So here I'm actually speaking into the microphone on the doorbell, and two-way audio works very well. Within the app, while you are doing the live view, it's also very nice. You can swap between standard definition and regular, as you can see here. Essentially, depending on the internet, I think is the biggest thing. You can also hear the audio or not, take a screenshot of both views here, take some video recording, or you can swap into this view here, which actually shows you the full view of the top camera, and then you can click on this and it will show you the full ground as well. So again, very, very nice to have those two cameras available. It's really a very good feature to have in a video doorbell. That is one I wish more had. You can choose to leave a message here, which is very cool. You can push one that does these automatic ones. So this one will be kind of like a leave the express at the door, put in the express cabinet, host is not at home. So some of the pre-built ones are a little bit funny in my opinion, just with the English, unfortunately, but it's very cool to be able to push one of these buttons and kind of have this automatic pre-built voice speak through your doorbell. You can also choose to press this button here and add your own voice if you want to. We can push that now, and then you can kind of go ahead and make a custom voice recording, and it will save, and you can kind of just activate that by clicking on that button, and it will be saved in the doorbell, which is great. So we'll just go ahead and put this button now, as you can see. So it does sound a little bit funny, in my opinion, but it is very nice that you were able to do that, and I think it's kind of intimidating as well, potentially. So if you are wanting to push that button without actually speaking yourself, you can have this voice kind of speak for you, and you can either record your own or use one of the pre-built ones, but it's very nice to have those kind of preset functions, in my opinion. In terms of the video quality, I am very happy with it as far as video doorbells go. Just given the fact that one camera is pointing forwards and one camera is pointing down, you will get a bit of different colors and everything between the two cameras, just because of the exposure levels. So of course the one pointing forwards is going to be compensating for the sun and such, whereas the one pointing down isn't as much. So for example, in this clip, you can see the quality. It is pretty good, but the colors are drastically different. I am wearing a green shirt, so the top one's more accurate. The bottom one looks pretty gray and kind of washed out. It's not a huge deal, of course, but it is interesting that the colors between the two cameras are a bit different. I'm guessing the difference will go away at night, but during the day, it definitely is there. Again, not a big deal at all, in my opinion. What matters much more is the video quality, which in my opinion is very good for a doorbell camera. You essentially just need to be able to recognize who it is and see what's going on, which this is definitely more than capable of. I do think it looks very good, so I'm very happy with that. You're even able to read text and everything like it through the doorbell, which I think is really everything you could ask for in a video doorbell in terms of quality. The quality at night is also very good in my opinion. Of course, the main thing that changes is the colors, because it does enable this sort of night vision mode when it gets dark enough. However, you can still clearly see all the details of everything. You can still recognize people, make out objects, see text and everything like that. So I think even at night, it still definitely can be relied on as a security camera. In terms of customization within the app, there's a lot you can do, which is very nice. As you can see here, at the top we have that real-time video where you can just go ahead and click it and view the outside of the doorbell as it is now. We also have all the different notifications. It has the someone passed by or someone stopped by, depending if someone just kind of walks by the camera or if they actually go and stop and stand in front of the camera for a while. Definitely very nice to have that kind of differentiation, which I thought was very cool. You can of course go between the different dates. This is for today, but there's also the different days if you want to click and see all of them. Within the settings, if we go ahead and go to the motion detection alert, you can see that it chooses the kind of detection you want. So you can do custom settings or do the power saving mode. I thought it was interesting that in the power saving mode, you can't do the live view unless someone actually appears. So I guess to kind of have it on that live view standby mode all the time, you do need to consume a bit more battery, but that is a setting you can choose between. There's the detection period. If you don't want it to detect during the day and only at night or something, you're able to do that. And you can also turn on this human motion detection, which will of course give you notification whenever someone walks in front of it. I didn't see any settings for pet detection or anything other than humans. However, I think most people are concerned about human detection, so I'm not too worried about it. I think it's also cool that you can change between the different ringtones. So we have the night vision mode, which goes on automatically, and you can kind of see how that looks like. Or you can turn it always on or off. I think automatic makes the most sense, of course. For the different doorbell ringtones, we do have this ringtone 1, which is what it's set to now. We also have option for ringtone 2. And then we have a ringtone 3. And then this is the default, of course. So that's pretty cool. And then we do have the option for the indoor base station as well. So you can make them the same or different if you want to. For the indoor one, the default one is that kind of someone is ringing the doorbell, which I think is kind of funny. But we can change that as well, which is nice. So if you want to just do a kind of ding dong. Or a marimba. Or a wind traveler. So that sounds kind of like Mario or something. So pretty funny, but it is very nice to have all those different options, of course. So it's cool that you're able to change all that. You can also change the volume of the actual doorbell and the indoor base station. So all good things to be able to customize. Of course, there's the time and there's the device sharing, and then there is this Alexa service authorization. So if you want to, you can connect it to Alexa, which is also very nice. I have an Echo Show, so it works very well. If you wanted to be able to ask Alexa to show you the doorbell, then it will be connected there. So you're able to actually view the doorbell from any time from your Alexa device that has a screen. And then this is the burglar alarm I was telling you about. So within the doorbell settings, you can turn on this burglar alarm notification, which essentially plays a siren and receives calls and notifications to your phone if someone was to actually pull on the doorbell or just kind of mess with it or something, which is very cool. I haven't seen that feature on the doorbell, so that's very nice. It's very important to have, of course, and it will actually start playing a really loud alarm on that doorbell, so that should, in theory, discourage people from messing with it, which is great. So overall, I'm very happy with this doorbell. It definitely has a lot of functionality built into one device. My favorite thing by far is having those two cameras. It's really nice to be able to see what's below the doorbell. My existing video doorbell does not have this. It only has the front camera, so I can never really know if someone puts a package down or anything. I just kind of assume because it detects a person but doesn't show that there's actually a package there. So having those two cameras showing both the ground and in front of you is very, very nice to have, and I definitely think that's a feature that should be in every video doorbell. Setting up the doorbell was very easy and getting it all connected to the app and everything. I didn't have any problems at all. The range is more than I was expecting. In the manual, it says there should be 10 feet between the doorbell and the receiver, and then 10 feet between the receiver and the router. However, I had the receiver upstairs and my router downstairs, and then the video doorbell on the other side of the house, and everything still worked just fine. Thankfully, that range does seem to be a bit more than the 10 feet it's suggesting. Of course, it does depend on your Wi-Fi strength and all of that, but I definitely didn't have any problems with the streaming quality or anything like that. It all looked very, very good, despite the doorbell and receiver being pretty far from each other. So overall, I'm very happy with this doorbell from JAIOTlink. The quality is very good, both during the day and at night. It's very easy to set up in the app, and the app works very well. It's very customizable. There's not a whole lot I would change personally. The only thing that I think is a kind of flaw is that this reset button is accessible to anyone that is, walking up to the doorbell. I'm not that worried about it, just because you have to really know what you're looking for and have that specific tool to fit in there and all of that. So it'd be a very unlucky situation where someone actually comes and resets this doorbell and all that. However, like I said, all that would do is disconnect the doorbell. Your footage of them resetting it and everything would still be saved to the home base inside, so you would at least know who did it and everything, but it would just be kind of annoying more than anything, I think. So I do think that reset button should be hidden on the back like the power button. But yeah, overall I'm very happy with it. I do think it's a very solid doorbell and I definitely recommend it.